Well, hello, and welcome to the PPM podcast for July. Running a little bit late this month, but we've had so many things going on. One of the things we want to talk about real quick is the fact that our e-store, our new PPM e-store, is actually ready to run. And so when you click on the spot on the website that says for instructors, you're going to be going to the new e-store. And so you might want to remember that so when it looks a little bit different, you don't go into a panic that somehow you've gone to the wrong place. You may have to redo your cookies as we had to do last time because it remembers old addresses and stuff like that. But the new address is ppmcompanystore.com. So ppmcompanystore.com is the new address for the new e-store. And again, that's where you can buy your cards, mannequins, all the different things that are associated with the instructors. When you open the e-store, you'll see a spot on there that says Instructor Resources. That's where you want to click and go. Of course, all the other stuff that we have in the store is available on the e-store as well, but it's designed for the instructors and instructor resources. Okay, so let's get started. One of the first things that I'm seeing on a lot of my monitors that we're running now is the fact that when people get to the baby mannequin, and again, remember the baby mannequin can be done on a table. That's absolutely fine. Position your phone or your laptop or your camera, whatever you're using to broadcast, position it so that I can actually see what you're doing on the baby mannequin. Remember, beginning part, tap the foot, are you okay, are you okay? That's pretty standard. Pretty much anywhere you touch a baby, you should get a response. Okay, the next thing, of course, for basic life support is checking for a pulse and breathing. Remember, we check for a brachial pulse, inner aspect of the arm, and on the side closest to you. Don't reach across, because when you tend to reach across, you tend to use your thumb. And so why can't we use your thumb? Because the thumb has a pulse of its own. So your thumb, your pulse, you may mistakenly think that the infant has a pulse when in reality it's your pulse. So remember, side closest to you, inner aspect of the arm. Okay, this is where you're going to find the pulse. Why don't we use a carotid on the infant? That comes up from time to time, and many times in your classes, students will make that mistake and reach for a carotid in the infant. We don't do that because the carotid pulse on an infant is right next to where their airway is. And the trach on an infant is kind of like a wet cardboard box. The rings of cartilage have not been formed around the trach yet. Those rings of cartilage that maintain a patent or open airway form at approximately 1 year of age. So prior to 0 to 1, there's nothing there to protect the airway. If you push too hard to find the carotid pulse, you collapse the airway, you complicate your world. Okay, so if your students kind of understand why we're not reaching for a carotid, because of the issue of collapsing an airway, they're less likely to do it. So please feel free to explain that to your students. So again, from the beginning, are you okay? Are you okay? Are they breathing? Is there a pulse? No. Find the nipple line. One finger's width below the nipple line, 2 fingers. Notice that 2 fingers are lined up on the sternum. I see a lot of people putting their fingers across the sternum. No, lined up on the sternum, lengthwise with the sternum, 2 fingers. And then very quick compressions. The American heart typically uses 100 to 120 for everybody. But remember, in infants, normal pulse rates between 140 and 160. So you might want to pick that rate up just a little bit faster when you're doing the CPR compressions on the infant. Okay? Head tilt. Everybody's so worried about bringing the head back too far. Again, a little quick reminder, if you lift the shoulders of an infant, the head will go back and stop on its own. Where it stops is its max range of motion. You don't want to go beyond that level. Okay? So you need to get the head back in order to get air in the infant, just like you do anybody else. But remember, just back to where the head normally stops, its max range of motion. Don't go beyond that, because if you hyperextend, again, you run the chance of collapsing or pulling the airway, collapsing the airway, and then no air will get into the infant. Okay, so pick up on those little things for your presentations, because like I said, we're kind of running into some issues with our monitors where the instructors just are not doing the CPR correctly. Okay, let's go over some of the podcast items that I've been given to talk about for this month. Not many. Let's see. First, we've got a couple folks that, I shouldn't say a couple, we've got more than a couple, that really don't even know how to purchase their e-cards yet. And it's kind of frustrating on our part because we've offered e-card classes, okay, like at least once a month, to let you know how to actually buy e-cards, how to use e-cards. So far, we've only had 3 people bring their laptops in. The class went extremely well, and now those folks know exactly what they're doing with e-cards. So there is no reason why you don't know how to use e-cards. We've offered that to you. In the future, if we come across those that don't even know what an e-card is, you're no longer going to be in our training center. We really try our best to get you guys up to speed with everything. But if you don't want to do that, that's okay. We're not going to put a gun to your head and say you got to. You just can join a different training center and let them do and charge you through the roof to do a CPR class. Up to you. Okay, we're going to offer this a few more times. If you don't want to take advantage of it, that's on you, not us. Okay, you can always email Kathy at admin, ADMIN, at ppmems.com, and she can actually email you out an instruction sheet on what to do and how to handle the e-cards. Again, once you're online at the instructor network and into your file, there are videos that explain everything in detail, and very good videos on how to get the e-cards, how to use the e-cards. Everything's right there for you. So again, not difficult and very frustrating on our part when people don't even know what an e-card is. And we've been in it for about maybe 2 years. We've been doing this for the e-cards. Okay, some of you may not realize that we do have, and this has been brought up several times, a membership fee now. It's only a small fee to keep us operational, to keep things and pay for things like paper and stuff like that we send out and things that we send to you. It's not a lot of money, and it's due, it's renewed every year. Many of you have already paid this, and so for you folks, that's just fine. If you haven't, and you think you haven't, or there might be a question, give Kathy a call. She's the one coordinating that on a spreadsheet as far as who's paid, who hasn't paid, who do we need to send an invoice to, and those kind of things. Many of you, when you come in for your renewals and stuff like that, are just paying at that time, and Kathy makes a note of it, and that's all good to go. Next item, we're on to number 3 here. We have several new instructors that have come on board, and they're looking for equipment. Now, yes, equipment, you've got to have something that has a flashing light, at least one that has a flashing light. But your other mannequins are still good to use for people practice and training and stuff like that. So if you've increased your mannequin so that like all your mannequins have feedback device capabilities now, and you've got your old mannequins, remember that some of the newer instructors are looking for used equipment. And what we're going to do is start putting in our newsletter that goes out a used equipment section. So it'll refer them back to you. Maybe if you've got a price or a suggestion for price, we'll put that in there. Whatever you wish, we'll put in our newsletter for items for sale. Okay, but it's got to be pertaining to the training network. Okay, we don't want sofas and used cars. This is all deals with training equipment. Okay, so maybe projectors, digital projectors, mannequins, bag valve masks that you're not using anymore. Maybe you got too many. So again, we're going to offer that, and that goes out no cost to you as another way of getting out to your folks, and kind of a direct marketing because they're the ones that need this stuff. So it's good to direct market for no cost out to those new instructors. Item 4, the instructor gathering is coming up sooner than what you think. October the 6th, again at 1 p.m., same place as it's always been. It's online now, so if you go into our website on the calendar, you'll see the instructor update listed, and you can sign up for the update right there and get your name online. Remember, this year with the update, we've got a couple things. We've got 2 guest speakers. That one is a CPR survivor. The other one was the one that used the AED on her to make the difference in the cardiac arrest. And I find it really interesting to hear from the person that used the AED as far as psychologically what they went through prior and after the use of the AED that literally saved her fellow employee's life. Okay? And also with us down there, we will have from the state of Maryland the Narcan group. And so we'll be handing out trainers and stuff like that for the Narcan use, and so that you can add the Narcan training to either your CPR or first aid. Remember, on your drug overdose, one of the classic things for a drug overdose is cardiac arrest. And so CPR by itself, without the Narcan on board, is not going to be effective. But if you've already gone into cardiac arrest and are no longer breathing, you need the Narcan on board, circulate the Narcan to get everything running again. Okay, so it's kind of hand in glove now as far as the Narcan, cardiac arrest from the overdose, and CPR. So you'll actually be certified to do the training on the Narcan to your CPR groups. Something new to add to your group. Okay, and again, really making a difference as far as saving lives in the field with the drug overdoses. Item 5, we've got, as you know, we talked about training center faculties that we've got operational now, and our mentoring program. We will actually have the map, we'll have a digital display of our map for the state of Maryland and US of A of all the different instructors throughout the entire United States that we're providing help for. Okay, this is a mentoring help. So far we've got 88 of you already coordinated with an experienced instructor to help you with your training questions and those kind of things. Soon we hope to have virtually all of our instructors with a mentor. Okay, so that's over 500 instructors that we've got to kind of coordinate and mentor. Okay, so it's kind of an exciting thing. We're probably the only training center that has anything like this anywhere in the entire United States, or for that matter, the entire world. But again, we think it's very important to keep everybody up to speed, that the programs that you're teaching are correct and to the best training as ever possible. Okay, that's always been our goal. Summer also means less demand for CPR training, which means more marketing effort on your part. Remember, we've had folks come in now and got two-sided yard signs, kind of like yard sale signs, that talk about CPR that they put out when they're doing a class, so people see that. They've gotten magnetic signs for their cars, polo shirts, all kind of things that promote their business in teaching CPR. Because people may not even know the next door neighbor and need a CPR class and don't realize you do this. So marketing is important. As part of this, remember, with the new e-cards now, when the e-card goes out, it just has your name on it. It's not like the hard cards where we had you put your name and your phone number so that people could call you back. That's not an option anymore. So there's no way when that person 2 years later goes, oh, I need a CPR class. Most of the time when we say to them, we get the phone calls here, well, who was your instructor? They have no idea. So if you've got like a little magnet they can put on their icebox or anything, that in 2 years they'll look at that and go, oh, that was the person that taught us CPR. Or remember, with the e-cards, you can go back and see who you taught 2 years ago and literally give them a call and say, hey, you're coming up on renewal. What can I do as far as getting you renewed? Okay, so that gets your old customers back to you. We try our best when people call to give them back to you. Sometimes that's not an easy process because we don't know who was their instructor, where they actually took the class, if in fact it was even any of our instructors that taught their original class. So again, market. That gets the people coming back to you, gets the training going, and you begin to build your clientele for the future. Okay, enough said with that. Okay, one last little note here in reference to don't forget to train your own family. Okay, at the next cookout, tell everybody, hey, we got a cookout coming up, so-and-so's birthday. I'm going to bring our CPR mannequins, and we're going to go over some, and you can keep it simple, adult only. Always bring the child and infant mannequins because someone in the family is usually getting ready to have a baby somewhere, so they would like that kind of training. That used to be done in the hospitals, but we're finding that the hospitals don't appear to be doing that infant CPR training anymore. So important for the family. And again, remember, the more people you train, if you're the one that goes down, your family members can save you. And then you can save more people teaching CPR. So families are always a good time to even practice new techniques, new skills, but don't forget about them. And again, last reminder again, as I spoke in the beginning, the new e-store will be starting so that when you click on that link to the instructor section, you're going to realize it's not the same place you've been going. It's going to look totally different. We think it looks a lot better than the original. And again, you'll be able to get your cards and stuff just like before. One thing we did do is we're no longer using PayPal as our source for the credit card ringing up of the credit cards. We've had so many problems with PayPal. Recently, people are coming in for classes. They paid. We've got a PayPal receipt, and yet it never went through as them signing up even for the class. So every day we're running into more and more problems with PayPal. So PayPal will not be a way to pay in the future. Just your credit card, debit card, stuff like that. That will still be accepted, but no longer through the PayPal because of all the problems we're having with PayPal. Okay, that's pretty much it for this month. As always, please thank you again for tuning in. And as always, remember, if you got questions or suggestions for our podcast, please give me a call and we'll get them onto the next podcast if at all possible. And again, thank you and be safe out there.